And welcome to Double Talk. I'm Mark Steffen. Michael,
I understand from the phone that our TV show's on now.
It is now.
Is it on? Okay. Well, good. I'm Michael Mandel.
You're watching Double Talk right here on Channel 98.
and or the YouTube.
Or on YouTube.
On YouTube. Did you just lose your voice?
I did.
You just start the show, you lose your voice. What kind of starting is that?
Today, we have a special guest in the second half of the show.
Thank you.
Joanne Ferrary will be joining us. She's running for the New Mexico House, and we'll be talking to her about state politics and other stuff like that.
She's running a tough campaign. Every campaign, you know, this is the midterm. Things are probably tougher now than the other one because the presidential election takes all the glitz and glamour away, and you don't have to really say anything. You just hope that your candidate, you know, the person from your party is doing a good job. But now you have to do a lot of your own
Well, the
fighting.
midterm doesn't have the momentum from the big machine to pull you along with it. So in many ways, it's harder.
We hope it does have some kind of momentum.
But when that'll be in the second half of the show. You know, we were talking about it a few minutes ago in the paper. And on the news, we saw this woman who got artificially inseminated with the wrong baby.
With the wrong specimen, let's call it.
Well, they placed an order and they got a different one.
They placed an order. Well, you know, it's the same as when you go to Sonic and you ask for an Oreo smoothie or something, and you get the
cherry flip
butter fingers smoothie.
In her case,
and so you give it back and you get another one.
She wanted a vanilla
Can't you do that
cake,
with baby?
and they got a chocolate cake.
What's that?
So should they?
Where'd you get that picture?
So now they want to sue the insemination.
Kid's 2 years old.
Kid's 2 years old now. I don't know what they
maybe it's
waiting for.
Ill-behaved, and they said, "Well, gotta figure out how to get out of this."
Exactly.
Yes. So
anyway, you know, mistakes have been made before. We've heard about that.
Well, you know, you sign a contract. If they if everything's okay, well, they made a mistake. What about all the CDC and Ebola stuff? You know, you say, well, I have a fever of 102 and I just came from Liberia. And you go, well, take 2 aspirin, go home.
Well, the one thing about you can say about Ebola is that it's gluten-free.
Not according to a recent South Park. They just did
Anyway,
we're not going to push South Park.
Different show.
Although you should go see it. It was really very funny because everybody's anti-gluten now, totally anti-gluten.
Of course.
And that prevents you from, you know, getting a bad stomach or whatever.
Well, you know, actually, gluten
gluten
adversely affects everybody. It just affects certain people worse than others, and they tend to notice the ill effects of it.
You know, if you can stand gluten, and if you know, it's not just being totally allergic to it, but having a sensitivity to it. If you don't have a great sensitivity to it or any sensitivity, you know, pasta and pizza is definitely worth eating.
Well,
you know, you have to balance your life. You know, you worry about modified cornstarch. You know,
hydrogenated
what?
Hydrogenated oils and high fructose corn syrup.
Okay. And modified cornstarch. I thought you didn't like that either.
I don't even know what that is.
It's modified.
Well, okay, what's wrong? What's wrong with the original?
Because the original was too starchy. I mean, there are some things that you want to eat because they taste good. And if you're going to live and just eat lousy stuff like kale all the time.
Well, you don't want to be a slave to your taste buds.
No, you don't want to be a slave to your taste buds, but your taste buds were here to amuse you during life.
Well,
you know,
to entice you into eating. Otherwise,
it doesn't entice you to eating.
It sure does.
Well, yes, it does entice you to eating.
Your taste buds and
but
your
the
smell
fact that you're
buds.
starving entices you to eat. The enticement comes when you want to enjoy eating, as opposed to do you live to eat or eat to live?
Well, we talk enough about food on this show.
Yes.
Because we claim to be foodies, but we're really just gourmands.
We prove it too, as you recently found out.
I know what you mean,
watching yourself on the new movie.
On a movie.
Yeah, you felt a little self-conscious. Me, I know how to do the photoshopping on flat pictures. So
we noticed.
Get your stomach out. These things a little tougher.
Now,
stay really close to the table. Look how skinny I am.
Now, you know, Kmart.
They used to sell food.
On El Paseo, yeah, they used to sell groceries.
They're trying to compete with
Walmart.
They're
because
closed.
we're almost out of time.
They're closed. No, we're not.
And they're closed now, and they will soon be replaced by a church, the Kmart on El Paseo.
I know, we don't have enough churches here.
And we still have a Kmart left that is open and running. But
it's Kmart.
The closed one is soon going to become the Messiah Park Community Church.
Because what this community has a dearth of is small Mexican restaurants and churches. Although I really enjoy small Mexican restaurants. Churches, Their salsa is not so good.
No, but and they don't pay tax.
And they don't use cilantro in their salsa. Oh, they don't pay tax. Yes, Kmart paid real estate tax. If the church owns that land, we get no real estate tax from that land. Although one of the church's ways that they're going to end up paying for this is selling off and or renting the spaces closer to El Paseo, which are the ones that really are the money makers, the same as Walgreens had the big money for Salmons. Salmons without an L, it's a hardware store behind Walgreens.
Right. Well, they're going to probably build some businesses facing a wall.
That's the big money.
Facing El Paseo.
Yeah.
The way Village Inn is across the street. So
yes, close enough. Yeah, Village Inn is.
So hopefully we'll be getting some tax revenues when those businesses go into effect 5 years from now.
Unless, of course, the landlord is the church, and then the church probably doesn't have to pay taxes on its rent. We'll see about that.
Right. So
keep your eyes open.
Today there's what they're calling the Dogapalooza going on over at the Horse and Hound.
Why are they calling it that?
Because
are they shooting them out of bazookas?
You can bring your dog down.
Oh, it's palooza, not bazooka. I would rather have a bazooka. You shoot the dogs out of bazookas and
really,
it'd be more fun.
Does it come to that?
You don't like dogs, do you?
Yeah.
Do you? You like kitty cats.
As a dog person, you have to ask if I like dogs.
I'm not a dog person. You're a dog person?
Of course I am. Now,
thank God
the Dogapalooza is going on right now at Horse and Hound down there on Amador. They're going to be giving training tips for dog owners. You can bring your dog down. Tips on how to keep fleas and ticks away from them.
You go like this.
And you go like that. But so if you've got nothing better to do with your dog today, take it down to Horse and Hound.
It's a lot better than taking it to get spayed.
Also,
but you can do that.
The animal shelter of the Mesilla Valley is offering low-cost spay and neuter right now through the end of the month.
Yeah, they really look happy about that, don't they? Those little doggies and kitties.
You can. It's $30 right now, which is a savings of $25.
So if you're going to do it, save yourself $25 and save yourself a lot of trouble later on, and save the county a lot of space from picking up your stray animals after you've bred them too greatly.
Well, yeah, get them spayed, get them neutered, and get them microchipped, and get the shots.
That'd be nice. You don't have to fear about getting Ebola from that, because we're not up to that. We're not going. You don't even have Ebola on the list, and it's everywhere now.
It's everywhere.
If Ebola is not everywhere, everybody's talking about it. Everybody thinks that all through the country, we're all susceptible to it because this person took a plane here and that person took a plane there.
So we have CDC, 3 cases now in this country.
Yes, and the CDC was being examined by the House of Representatives for their lack of acting. And if anybody, the irony is great because the House of Representatives haven't done anything for 2 years, and before that, they didn't do anything either.
So why would they expect them now to do anything at all?
But no. So they're examining somebody else for not doing something because they're good at not doing anything. Put this off. We'll just do a talk and see what we can do.
Well, they're not even in session now, so they can't do anything.
But they can have little photo ops. And also they could do stuff that doesn't give money to CDC. CDC lost money over the last 6 years because of the Republican House of Representatives.
Yeah.
So, but they're investigating why their CDC isn't up to par. Well, because neither is the House of Representatives. What board of people can actually interview the House of Representatives, ask them why they've been sitting on their hands and not been able to pass anything? They didn't even approve the health guide for the country.
Right, but
because he's for the NRA, he's against the NRA.
Last month, when this Ebola thing started to, be heard of so much in the news, we realized that it took 2 white people from America going over there to catch Ebola.
Really?
For anybody to pay attention to it.
Were those the 2 guys that were beheaded?
No, those are the 2 missionaries.
They got Ebola. Yes. Well, it took a while for us to know about ISIL and ISIS until 2, let's say, white guys, died. Either way, people came. Well, it wasn't a white guy that died. It was a black guy that came from Liberia and died here. He was the first one.
In America, yeah.
Yes. But now, since it takes so much, it's not like being in a a room with somebody and you get it. You really have to get some sort of moistness on you from them.
Well, and the people and the health workers in Dallas there at the hospital took all the precautions they thought they needed to take, yet 2 of them still came down with it.
Yes, but they could have gotten it because they touched the outside of their gear while they were rolling them over or whatever they did. And there seems to be a lot of fluids happening when somebody has Ebola. And you never know. Fluids are funny things. Anyhow, we weren't talking about that. You're talking about, let's talk about another monster that is scaring the country to heck.
And that monster is Godzilla. Godzilla is coming to Las Cruces.
Isn't it great how
tonight.
Movies, bring out our inner fears in a very graphic way?
Well, Godzilla, they're showing free movies. They've been showing them at Young Park. And Godzilla was supposed to show tonight at Young Park, but they realized that something else was already scheduled there. So they've moved the screening of Godzilla to Apodaca Park at 7 o'clock tonight. That's the new Godzilla, Godzilla 2014.
2014. Well, that monster looks a lot scarier than that little squiggle of the Ebola virus.
That's true.
An Ebola virus, they'll probably, they already have shows on TV about things like Ebola virus. I've seen.
Well, that's the original Godzilla right there from the 1960s.
That's a good one. Do you know how they made that? They made funny sounds by using a violin and weird sound effects.
Well, remember when the Martians invaded Earth in that movie?
Yes.
It was the smallest of things that killed them. It was our microbes that finally did in the Martians.
The same as the Indians.
That's right.
When Columbus came over. Oh, happy old Columbus Day.
Now also, coming up on the 25th of October is the Zombie Walk downtown.
Speaking of disease.
People dress up like zombies.
Zombiness is a disease.
Yeah. How do you catch it?
You get makeup.
You get bitten by a zombie.
You get makeup. No, you put makeup on you. That's how you catch it.
Well, there's a lot of people who actually believe in the coming zombie apocalypse.
Well, that's true. And when something like Ebola or whatever, there's another disease that's out there, that looks great, that picture. You picked some good pictures there.
If you want to see the zombies in action, go down to the Rio Grande Theater on the 25th.
Yes, and also what's happening around the theaters, we don't want to forget this because it's the weekend, and tonight you have Death Trap is playing at Las Cruces Community Theater this week and next week. We always like to mention that, although
let's say we
don't advise that movie, but we do advise Moonlight and Magnolias at the Black Box Theater, which is about 3 guys who worked on Gone with the Wind.
Writing it
right before they're about to film it because they realized they had a lousy script.
Right.
So the writer, director, and producer got together in a room. This is supposed to be really good. Sam Damon's in it. He's really funny.
So they locked themselves in a room to come up with a shooting script. So and it's a comedy.
This is, but
yes, this is
Gone with the
comedy.
Wind isn't unless.
No.
Yes.
And the other play that we mentioned was Death Trap,
which was good on Broadway, but it takes a good production to make it good.
Well, have you seen it?
I've heard.
Oh, okay. And so that's what's going on this weekend.
Good thing I didn't say anything about it. And we're going to get ready for our guest interviewee.
So, after these few words, we'll be joined by Joanne Ferrary.
If you're living with diabetes and have Medicare or private insurance, here is some great news. Call United States Medical Supply today, and we'll send you the smallest glucose meter in the world, absolutely free.
It only takes a speck of blood, and it gives me my results in 5 seconds.
And there's no coding for easier, more accurate results.
Don't let diabetes get in the way of living. Give us a call today at United States Medical Supply and get the smallest meter in the world for free.
Get ready, America! The Affordable Health Care Act is here, and it's got everyone asking, how do I find affordable health insurance that's right for me? The answer is simpler than you think. Pick up the phone and call I Can Benefit right now. Waiting for you is a team of licensed insurance agents who understand health care reform and can help you find the right plan to take care of you and your family's health. Don't wait. Call now and get the answers you deserve and a price you'll love.
Call toll-free 1-800-426-2163.
Fiesta Motors.
Come and see us today and discover why our service is second in business. For over 17 years, we have the right car for you. When you buy a vehicle from Fiesta Motors, We do everything possible to ensure your satisfaction. Located at the corner of El Paseo and Main. See you there.
Celebrate Fiesta Motors, where buying a car is always a celebration.
Hi, I'm Cheryl Burke, and I have a confession to make. I have a serious crush on my workout. Hip, fun, and always a challenge. Jazzercise is the total package. It's the only workout that I've ever truly loved. Does it show? That's because I'm in the best shape of my life. What a difference Jazzercise makes. When's the last time your workout swept you off your feet? Find a class near you at jazzercise.com.
When you have credit card debt, the debt suckers' high rate and high pay are everywhere.
They're making another minimum payment. Great. Most of the money goes to us.
One call to Consolidated Credit can get the debt suckers off your neck.
Can lower his rates and consolidate his bills into one low payment. Consolidated Credit drives us batty.
Call Consolidated Credit now.
'Cause debt sucks.
Call now.
Call Consolidated Credit at 1-800-530-4571. Call now.
And we're back. This is Double Talk right here on Channel 98. I'm Mark Steffen, and joining me is Joanne Ferrary.
Hi.
Thanks for joining me, Joanne.
It's my pleasure.
You are running a political race.
Yes.
To represent your district, District 37.
Yes.
Where is District 37? Do you know its dimensions, boundaries?
Yes, it's mostly from Highway 70, just a little bit north of there, and then it goes along I-25, and it's just most of the East Mesa. And it goes all the way south to Dripping Springs, and then comes back in a little bit down to Fairway and Missouri.
Oh, in the Telshore area.
Yes.
A little bit.
And then there's some on the other side near the Mearshite Center, Spruce South, and almost to Walmart on the Lowman.
So only people who live within that district may vote for you. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay.
You can vote at different places. We have the voting centers, but you would only get the ballot for District 37 or the county. Yes.
Okay. And we should remind people that early voting is going on now. So you can go to the county building on Motown Boulevard to vote. Do you know where else they can vote? Early?
Well, October 18th, this Saturday, it'll start at Brannigan Library and Sonoma Elementary, as well as there's a voting center in Hatch, one in Anthony, one in Chaparral, and I think Sunland Park. There's, I think, 6.
And how many districts are there in New Mexico, do you know? Or how many representatives there are? I guess I would tell you how many districts.
There are 70 representatives.
70 reps, so this is 70 districts. And you hope to represent District 37.
Yes.
This is not the first time you've run?
No.
You ran 2 years ago?
In 2012. It was my first time to run for office. And we had a really good campaign. We came really close. I won election night, then a couple days later they found that we were actually tied, and then that deemed a recount. So within a month then we had 4 days of counting every single ballot, which was really difficult because we had all the voting centers, convenience centers throughout the county. So we had, every one of those votes had to be recounted.
Had to be recounted. And it turned out you lost by 8 votes.
Yes.
That had to be a rough one to think you won, and then lo and behold. So this time you're putting forth a stronger effort.
Yes, and like you were talking about before, we don't have the presidential campaign to pull out a lot of voters, so we're all working really hard to engage with voters and get them to come out and vote.
Right. Now, you've been to Santa Fe several times. I know you go up there frequently. What's your background to make you want to get into this?
Well, I lived in Las Cruces in the 1980s, and I got interested in traffic safety issues such as car seat loaner program and seatbelt campaigns. And that then, when I graduated from NMSU in 1990, as a single mom with my MBA, I went to work for Traffic Safety Bureau in Santa Fe. And after that, when we had to pass legislation for DWI prevention, I was also instrumental in setting up community DWI task forces throughout the state. And so that, knowing how government really can make a difference, watching some of the different things that our community needs, such as improvement for education, we need equal pay for women. We also need to raise the minimum wage. And so since I lost in 2012, I had the opportunity of going and working at the legislative session full-time to help raise the minimum wage, and I learned how important it is to work with other coalitions and experts, and also going to committees and the hearings, working with the legislators to try and convince them that this was something that was really important to the economy and the health and to our families.
Now, those things you just mentioned, would you consider those your key issues?
Yes, along with the sustainable economic development, and that would include being able to have businesses not relying on government and not relying on industries that could come and go, just with cutbacks or just withdrawing to another state. We need a renewable energy resource development so that we can have small businesses in that industry, solar, geothermal, and wind, as well as helping small businesses with cuts on red tape and making sure that they have the resources for entrepreneurs to start small businesses and increase our employment.
Now, you're running against the incumbent, Mr. McMillan. What would you say his weaknesses are, and how do you differ?
Well, I think one of the first ones is that he's not a full-time legislator. He doesn't believe in the interim committees, and that's where a lot of the work happens before and after each session. So that's something that I would want to be as much involved as I possibly could, at least 3 or 4 committees, which is the average for most legislators. And so that plus, being there for the votes. He's missed a lot of votes too, even while he's at the legislative session. So I think all of those things are really critical, being involved in the interim committees, the committees during the session, making sure you're there for the committee votes, and making sure that you're, doing the right things for New Mexico and our families. So
during session, you'd be able to devote full time to it as if it was your job.
Yes.
Even though they don't pay you in the state for that job.
Exactly.
Meanwhile, Terry McMillan is a full-time doctor in Las Cruces, and so I can see why he might say, well, I can skip that vote because I'm busy making money here in my practice. You won't have that problem.
No, and even though I'm not working full-time, I'm still a consultant, I'm still a volunteer. I work volunteer for Make-A-Wish, and also with our DWI, Mesilla Valley DWI Resource Center, and so I still have obligations and things to work in that keeps me involved, and I know a lot of the things that are happening in our community. So I'm still very active, and it's you just have to juggle things like other legislators do if they are working, have a law practice, or working as an executive director or as a salesperson.
Right. When does the session begin after the election? For instance, when would you have to go to work?
Well, pretty much right away. They start having caucuses, and then also you must start getting legislation, policy, working with the Legislative Council if there's a policy that you would like to become law, and start working on that right away. And then the session then starts January, mid-January.
I noticed somebody in the sound off called in reference to Terry McMillan. They said they just listened to an ad against Terry McMillan about Medicare. They're saying Medicare is a federal program, therefore Terry McMillan in the state of New Mexico cannot raise the eligibility age for Medicare.
Well, that's true. But he has stated and on his website that because people are living past the age expectancy of 65 and they live to 80 now, which is
easily
pretty close, that we should be looking at raising the age for Medicare.
Eligibility.
Right.
Right. And him being a doctor, he sees that every day in his practice.
Correct. But we really should be going in reverse. We should be including more people that will have more of a universal health care. And that's one way that they started to talk about Affordable Care Act. And So we should not be changing that to a higher age. We should be going lower. And you would think that as a doctor, he would understand that. So yes, we can't make a difference on that at the state level, but that just kind of is an indication of how he thinks and is more likely to protect, the providers, not the people who should be receiving health care.
Now, when somebody decides to run for the United States House of Representatives, that's a well-paying job. Doing it in New Mexico, it's a no-pay job, except they cover your expenses and a stipend. Why would somebody do a job like that for no pay?
I think because I've grown up in New Mexico since I was 12 and really care about New Mexicans, and I think that having the resources for our educational system, giving teachers the raises they deserve, having early childhood education so that kids are all ready by the time they're in kindergarten, and we won't have third grade retention for reading problems at all to consider. That these are things that really mean a lot to me for better New Mexico, and that and raising the minimum wage is also really important, along with equal pay for women. If women are out there just making 80 cents on the dollar, or even less for women of color, it's not fair. We're giving up having someone there to help take care of the kids and run them around for going to work, then we should get the full amount of that benefit for each family.
And with New Mexico being last in so many categories, when it comes to education and poverty, and as you almost have to wonder, where do we start just to get things out of last place? Where do you start?
Well, I think education and minimum wage is going to make an economic keep money from big corporations taking it out of our economy. It will make it so that that money stays in the hands of people who will use all of their disposable income and can really put that into the economy immediately. It will help businesses. It will make it so that there is, for every dollar we increase minimum wage, it increases our local economy by $10 million. So, that's got to help somebody somewhere, and I think it's really going to make a big difference.
Well, we're just about out of time. Thank you for joining us.
Oh, thank you.
Election day is November
4th. 19 days, I believe, is the countdown.
Right. You can vote early if you wish. I'm kind of a traditional type. I like to vote on Election day. It just seems more exciting. And so please get out and vote. New Mexico has a bad record of not voting.
Although I hate to argue with you, but early voting is better because then you don't have the lines.
That's true.
And you get off of call lists.
Yes.
But people will stop calling you because they know they can't convince you anymore.
That's true. Well, we are out of time. Thank you, Joanne, and thank you for joining us right here on Double Talk.
Thank you.